Okay, so let's talk about loops. Let's talk about how to identify the loops that have been running in your mind without you being consciously aware of them, that have kept you so-called stuck or in a failing position in life where you have not been able to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. What are those undesired loops? How do you identify them? Which emotions are you supposed to be targeting and getting rid of, and which emotions do you want to trade those for? Fortunately, you don't have to figure this out on your own. There have been numbers of studies and research done in the field of neurology and neuroscience, rather, that study the patterns and effects of thoughts and emotions on the brain and the rest of your body. And the work has already been done for us as far as identifying those negative emotions. Now, I'm going to try, and all of my videographer abilities, to put the chart up here beside me of this level, these different levels of conscious emotional energies. First, it's important for you to understand, I'm not sure, where everyone's learning branch kind of starts at, what you all know, but it ranks emotions from the most low vibrating emotion to the highest vibrating emotion that you can have. And if this is your first time hearing anything about emotions being energy and things like that, scientifically speaking, everything that you see around you, everything that you think, everything that you say, everything in this world is made up of energy. Energy is everything, and everything is energy. That's a basic scientific fact. That means that when we were created, well, that means what it means. I'm trying to stop over explaining things. So energy is everything, and everything is energy. That means that everything you say, every thought that you have, every dream that you dream, every piece of furniture or item in your home, everything around you in this world is made up of some form of energy. So knowing that your thoughts are also energy, it will be a very good idea to make sure that your thoughts are vibrating on an energy that you desire. What are some undesirable emotional energies? Well, at the bottom of the chart, the very bottom emotion is shame. The next emotion is guilt, then apathy, then grief, then fear. So with just these 5 emotions, when I started my journey, just those 5 emotions, I was able to identify with all 5. Like, yeah, this is pretty much how I feel all the time. Even if I'm not expressing it outwardly, these 5 feelings are running through my mind. I was dealing with a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, a lot of apathy. Apathy is when you kind of don't care one way or the other. You just don't care what happens. It can come or it can go. Doesn't matter to me. What's the point in caring? What's the point in trying? That's apathy. Grief is when you are when you just feel like you've just lost something or someone very important to you. You're grieving that thing, grieving the loss of something, or expressing a deep sadness over the loss of something. And then, of course, fear. So when you're trying to identify your loops that have kept you thus far from achieving your goals, as you go throughout your day, as I stated in the previous video on procrastination, you want to go throughout your day just asking yourself why you have certain emotions. What is the basis, the root cause for why you have certain emotions? And it could be any of these 5 emotions or any of the emotions on the lower half of the triangle, which the lower half includes everything besides the 5 that I mentioned. It also includes desire, anger, pride, and courage. Don't worry about courage right now. That gets a little bit deeper. You might be wondering why that's considered a low emotion. It's kind of almost at the midway point, so it's not low, but it is under the line of emotions that allow you to just kind of get by in life. So we don't want to be at a point where we're getting by. We want to be at a point where we are excelling at life, because that's what we were created to do. We were created with this awesome intelligence that, when harnessed and used for your benefit to consciously create your life, can allow us to live wonderfully amazing lives that glorify the creator that made us. Whereas if you don't control your intelligence, if your intelligence works against you, which a lot of our intelligences are working against us, only because we have not, up until this point, we have not had the knowledge or found access to the resources that give us the knowledge to learn how to harness our intelligence. Your intelligence has to be harnessed in order for it to work for you. for most of us right now, our intelligence is working against us, which is why we're in a place where we're not achieving our goals, or we're kind of feeling we're just suffering, like life is just happening to us. Life sucks. Life is too hard. It's too hard to find a job, or to earn money, or to start a business, or to find love, or to lose weight, or to raise kids. Sometimes you just feel like life is too hard. If you feel like that, then that is your mind, that is your intellectual mind working against you, because up until, again, this moment, you did not have the tools to get in there and say, hey, skirt, let's stop all these loops that have been created from past experiences, and let's start creating better loops. So as you go through your day, you're going to be looking for, I started with anything below anger. So I started with anger and below when I started doing my journey towards, deeper spirituality and conscious awareness. So as you're going through your day, every time you feel anger, I'm kind of skipping through the list here. Every time you feel anger, fear, apathy, guilt, or shame, try to recognize those feelings within you. Recognize those thoughts. You feel that, even if you feel like you're warranted in feeling it, identify it and try to just make a mental note of what the situation was that caused that emotion to come up out of you. And then later on in the day, when you have some time to kind of sit alone, maybe meditate if you're practicing on meditating, go inside and really do some work to sit with yourself and figure out what the root of that shame, guilt, apathy, fear, grief, or anger is. And these are the loops that you want to remove. These are the emotions that you want to remove and eventually replace with more conscious, higher vibrating emotions. Well, why? You might be asking, well, why? What's wrong with having anger? What's wrong with being fearful? You should fear things, or you should feel guilty about certain things, or shame is a good emotion to feel. All of the emotions on this list have their proper place in moderation to a degree. However, if you are constantly ruminating or living in states of shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, or a jumble of all those things, then you want to free yourself from that, because you shouldn't be vibrating. You shouldn't be living down there in those emotions. Now, there are things that may happen. You lose a loved one, or you get into a bad car accident, or something happens that is traumatic in your life. It may pull your emotions down temporarily to this lower level. But as a conscious individual who is consciously co-creating your life with the Most High, you don't want to live down there in those negative emotions. You should be vibrating higher than that, which is, I kind of a newer understanding that I came to have over the last 7 months of what it even means to vibrate high. That's what that saying is coming from. A lot of people use that saying and they don't even realize what it means. But vibrating high means keeping your emotions trying to aim your emotions at these higher vibrating energies, such as willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, and peace. That's your goal of where you want to be. And why is that? Why have neuroscientists like Dr. Joe Dispenza spent thousands of hours and millions of dollars doing research to prove that these emotions are not beneficial? How have they come to realize that? Well, when you're experiencing these emotions, and again, this is based on neuroscientific evidence. You can do the research yourself, take my word for it, Google Dr. Joe Dispenza or search him on YouTube and look at the videos yourself. But neuroscientists have determined that when you are feeling any of these lower vibrating emotions day in and day out, it's going to, again, keeping in mind that your emotions are also energy. That negative energy impacts your entire day, from your thoughts to your behaviors to your feelings. All of that is going to be encapsulated and determined by these emotions that you resonate with all the time. And when you're feeling anger, fear, grief, shame, guilt, any of those, your brain is not in a coherent state to create anything positive for your future. If you're sitting down and you want to lose weight, or you're sitting down and you're about to start your first guitar lesson or piano lesson, or start writing the first page of your book, or you wake up in the morning and you say, okay, today's the day I'm going to go and take the first step towards this goal. But in your mind, you are resonating at a level of, anger or below, then your brain is not going to be able to create any space for you to be this new person. I'm trying to say that as clearly as possible. Your brain, mentally, you're not going to be in a place that you need to be to create a better life for yourself. You're not going to be in a place to feel like going and smashing a goal, or going out and having a conversation that you needed to have with someone to take your career or your life to another place. You're not going to feel like doing those things if you are resonating in these lower vibrating energies. So identifying when you feel these emotions, when throughout the day you feel those emotions, what situations or people cause you to feel those emotions, and then being able to take some time out of your day later on in the day. I like doing it usually towards the end of the day or right before bed. Go back and reflect on your day, on when you felt those emotions, what thing was happening externally or even internally that caused you to, have those emotions. And then you want to, go back and figure out what the root of those were. When did you first feel that emotion? It may take you back to when you were a child, when you first felt shame or guilt or fear for the first time. You can go back to that, and through concentrated work, which you can do with a life coach, or you can do on your own through YouTube. There are tons of great resources on YouTube. You can do meditation work to go back and relive that experience without having that negative emotion connected to it. And wisdom is defined that way. Say that wisdom is when you can recall a past experience minus any negative emotion that was associated with it. Okay? And by doing this, by being able to break yourself from emotions that were tied to your past, you can start creating a better future for yourself. But if you wake up every day and you allow yourself to sit and breathe and walk and talk in shame and guilt and apathy, grief, fear, desire, and anger, then you're going to be recreating your past every single day until you teach yourself and you force yourself to stop and look those emotions head on in the face and say, I don't want to feel this anymore. I want to feel a higher vibrating emotion. I want to get to the root of why I always feel this way. When A happens, why is B always my knee-jerk reaction? And I'm letting you know right now that as difficult as it may seem to insert that blockage in there, not blockage, but to insert that interrupt in there, that pattern interrupt, it's possible. It is possible for you to do the work, but you have to be determined to not give up. If this is day one of you watching my channel, watching my videos, and you start today and you do horribly, you get even angrier all day than you normally get, or you feel even more depressed or apathetic or fearful or guilty than you've ever felt before, you have to be determined that you're going to get up tomorrow and try again. Because the only way you can fail at life is to give up. That's the only way you can fail at life. But as long as you're trying, you're succeeding. I promise you, as long as you're trying, you are succeeding. But if you wake up every day and said, you know what, yesterday was shitty as hell, I tried what she said, and it seems like I had a worse day than ever before. That's because your body, your mind, it has to go through that rough phase. It has to go through that rough phase of letting all that stuff out. And when you turn a mirror around and really and truly look at yourself in that mirror, the first reflection or glimpse that you get may not be what you thought it was. It may not be what you thought you looked like to society, but now you're getting the tools through my channel or any other research, or personal development, practices that you're doing. You're getting the tools to be able to look at your reflection in the mirror and still love it. Accept where you are right now. Don't allow shame or guilt or any of that stuff to stop you from moving forward. Keep going. So identify when you feel these negative emotions and then start trying to trade them out for higher emotions. It's going to feel forced at first. It might feel fake. For some of you, it might feel totally natural. You might feel like, oh, finally, it's okay for me to let go of anger. Or finally, it's okay for me to let go of this old, past feeling that I've carried on with me since I was a child. I didn't realize it was just so easy for me to let it go. For some of you, it may be that easy, but for the majority, it's going to be difficult because we get addicted. Our brain gets addicted to having certain emotions. When A happens, we always feel B. When A and B happens, we always feel C and D. And if you've been that way for 10 years, 15 years, 20, 30 years, it's going to take time for your brain to get used to not going to that knee-jerk negative emotion. It's going to take time for your brain to realize that you, as a conscious awareness, are now putting yourself in charge of how you feel throughout different, environments and circumstances throughout your day. You're getting yourself to a place where no matter what the old thought is that comes up in your brain, or the old emotion is that tries to resurface and make its way out of your mouth in some sort of negative words, or no matter what the environment is externally, or who's trying to push your buttons externally, you're always going to resonate with these higher vibrating emotions. That's the ultimate goal. And when you're able to get there, when you're able to start vibrating higher, you'll find that your goals come to you a lot easier. And it's not magic or mysticism or anything like that. It's simply how we were designed. We were designed to be able to put energy out into the world and to get back the energy that we return. It's reaping what you sow. So if you're sowing anger and fear and guilt and shame every day into your life, and you've been doing it up until this point, don't beat yourself up about it. Be glad that you came across this video. Be glad that you have a desire in you to change, because many people will have watched videos like this, or will watch videos like this, and won't want to change at all. They'll say, you know what, nope, I'm fine. They'll click off this video and say, I'm fine with my anger, I'm fine with my fear, I'm fine with my guilt. I was taught that these are feelings that I should have, and this is how, I'm comfortable with, and they won't give it a second thought. They'll stop because it's too hard. But if you keep going, you'll be part of that minority percentage of the population that is actually consciously creating their life with the Most High God, with the one that created us, the greatest scientist, who is, we're just now, kind of starting to catch up with by learning how our brains work and how energy works. You were made to be great in this life. You were made to be successful and happy in your life. If you were living your life and you wake up every day, or the majority of your days, and you feel like you're suffering, you feel like you're unhappy, you feel depressed, you feel angry, you are fearful, you feel just not well physically, then you're in a state where your intellect has turned against you. And it's time for you to harness it and to get it to start working for you so that your life can be better. It's not too late, as long as you're living and breathing, which obviously if you're living, you're breathing. As long as you're breathing, it's not too late for you to start, regardless of how young or old you are, regardless of your gender, where you live, your religion, your history. If you have a brain and you're breathing, then you can make these changes. It's something that is specific to humans, and it's why we are human, because we have that ability, that willpower to change. But you have to be certain that it's what you want to do, and you have to keep going. Because if you give up, there's nothing that I or anyone else can do to help you. So don't give up, keep going. There are some signs that you can look for throughout your day to let you know when you are possibly experiencing some of these feelings. Because again, depending on how long you've gone throughout your life not recognizing that internal loop that's going on through your head, it might be difficult for you to pinpoint when you're feeling certain things. Sometimes people walk around angry all the time, and they feel like, well, that's just how I am. No, I'm not mad. That's just how I am. And they don't realize that they're angry, because it's become such an innately, felt feeling, that they feel like that's just how I am. They don't even realize that it's not who they are. So here are some symptoms that you can look for to let you know if you are experiencing or living in these negative emotions. And a lot of times when we're stuck here, I know especially was very true for me, and it's probably going to be true for a lot of you as well, when we're stuck living in anger and fear and grief and apathy and shame and guilt, it's because we are still dealing with some sort of trauma, or multiple compacted traumas from our past. I know I certainly had a lot. When I started my journey 7 months ago, my spiritual journey, writing in my journal, there were days when I was just overcome with so much emotion, as I started to realize how many traumas I had not yet dealt with in my life. I felt like I had dealt with them because I acknowledged them and told myself I was strong enough to get through it, and I got through it, but I never really healed from it. And there are some symptoms, some signs that you can look for in your life, starting right now today, that will let you know if you are living through trauma, that you need to go back and heal. And trauma is something to take very seriously, just as seriously as if you had broken a bone or, received a laceration somewhere on your body, you would go to seek medical attention to get that injury healed. You wouldn't just say, oh, yep, I got this huge laceration on my body, or I just broke a bone, but I'm strong enough to take the pain. I'll just take some medicine. I acknowledge that it's broken and I know I'm strong enough to get through it, so I'm just going to get through it. Nobody would deal with a broken bone that way. You would rush, probably take an ambulance to the hospital to get some medical treatment. Same thing needs to be done with an emotional trauma. In a sense, you need to give it just as much urgency to go back there to that place mentally, emotionally, where that trauma happened, how it happened. Sometimes people, find that it's best to do this with a therapist or with, a friend, or by themselves, just through journaling. Sometimes it helps, through music, through art, and deal with that trauma, deal with that pain, and then give yourself the acceptance, the allowance, the permission to let it go. Because those old feelings, anger, fear, doubt, grief, shame, all of that is what's holding you back in life and preventing you from achieving your goals. So let's talk about the symptoms, signs that you can look for that you might be living through or dealing with past trauma and living through past traumatic emotions. The first symptom is procrastination. Ding, ding, ding. If you have not yet watched my video on procrastination, you can click the video, should be right below this one, on why we procrastinate and how to, why the 99% of people on the planet fail to achieve their goals. So procrastination is the first sign that you are still dealing with past trauma and still vibrating in low emotions. The next symptom is not feeling good. Your thoughts can literally make you sick. Okay. Having scattered thoughts. Leo from actualize.org, which you guys will hear me mention him a lot. His channel is based on self-actualization and teaching people how to wake up into their infinite awareness and self-actualize. He talks about monkey mind, or having monkey chatter in your mind, which is basically when your intellect has just been allowed to kind of run freely without you harnessing it and learning how to, rope it in and allow it to work for you instead of against you. So scattered thoughts is another symptom that you're dealing with past trauma. Your mind is not letting you settle on any one thought because it's trying to protect you from that past trauma that you went through. Resistance is another one, which if you clicked on this video or you watched the last video on procrastination and how to achieve your goals, you know that resistance is a very big part of why you don't accomplish your goals if you have not yet accomplished them. You resist. And that's one of the inner loops that I've been referring to, that resistance when your brain tells you now's not the best time to start your YouTube channel, or if you sit down and start the process, it's going to take too long. And then if it takes too long, and it's probably not going to work anyway because you're a beginner at it, you don't know enough. Look at all the other people who are doing what you want to do and they're doing it successfully. There's no room for you to join that field, or there's no room for you to join that industry, or you're too old to go to school, or school takes too long. All of those thoughts that talk you out of being the new person that you want to be, or taking the step towards that new goal that you want to achieve, that's resistance. That's resistance, and it is a sign of dealing with past trauma. Fear of failure, fear of anything. Of course, again, fear being one of the 5, lowest vibrations on that emotional chart that we were talking about. Fear of failure is another sign that you're going through trauma. A need to plan everything is another sign you're going through trauma. And kind of the B side of that is overthinking. I know for a long time when I was going through my depression, I overthought every single thing. Even as a child, my mother used to tell me, by the time you finish thinking about all the steps it's going to take you to do what I told you to do, you could have gotten up and done it already. So even as a child, dealing with trauma, even back then, I was an overthinker. I would literally think about, okay, mom told me to go do this thing. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to uncross my legs, put my shoes on, get up, go to this room, open this drawer. I would think about every single step of the process. And truly, she was right. By the time you finish thinking about that, you've already worn yourself out. But being in a state of constant fear, or a state of guilt or shame or apathy, it tends to cause you to do that overthinking process because you absolutely do not want to fail at any cost. But part of living and part of being a human and part of being a human that has drive and goal and vision is failing. So rather than be miserable and suffer through your failures, be happy and grateful and be in love with your life through your failures. That's what's on the other end of what you are possibly currently feeling now. So that need to plan everything and that overthinking is definitely a very strong indicator that you're still going through past fear, trauma, all that stuff. Next is having trouble focusing, which they had in parentheses, brain fog, having trouble asking for help, and also fear of success. So those are, 7, 8, 9 different symptoms that you can focus on throughout your day, as well as the list of conscious emotions, energy emotions that you want to focus on. And again, this is all going to help you to identify the loops that are running through your head, causing resistance and causing procrastination, keeping you from achieving whatever your goal is. So start with this information. I believe in you. You should believe in you too. And no matter what, do not give up. Do not give up. If you're watching this video and you've made it to this point, that means that you are already more determined than you were yesterday or the day before, and that's good. Recognize your private small victories. Give yourself the biggest pat on the back that you can. Tell yourself that you're proud of yourself and that you're not going to give up until you have become the person that you envision in your mind. Okay? So that's it for identifying your loops. I'm going to go ahead and edit this video, cut it down hopefully to about 10 minutes for you guys. And then my next video that I will do will be on how to start reprogramming the loops. How to stop the loops after you've identified them. So go on, my beautiful souls. Be well, be merry, more life, light, and abundance to you all. Go and identify your loops, and I will meet you back here soon. Peace.